Hello and welcome to the EML F1 Season 8 Championship. Today you join us for round 3 here in Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. The 25th percentile of the season takes us over to the east to the Shanghai International Circuit. This 5.451 kilometer long track was created in 2003 by Herman Tilke and features a unique turn 1, turn 2 complex, a turn 7, turn 8 S section with high G-forces, and one of the longest back straights on the F1 calendar at 1.2 kilometers long. Opportunities for overtakes include turn 1, turn 6 and turn 11, as well as the obvious big one over at turn 13, that big hairpin. My name is Yanis Mayer. Today I'll be leading you through the action and hopefully throughout the rest of the season as well. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. Last week we were over in Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix and the standings came out like this. Yes, for those who have been with us since the season's start, you might be wondering how this happened if you missed last race. Well, everything went all over the place. First off, we had the race start with Evolution Racing Team Kevin's starting off the race in pole position, but 4 laps into the race, kart for the QSL guys, who had started in P4, unfortunately went off at turn 13 following a collision with Knight from the Alien Motorsport team. He dropped to P12, climbed back up to P5 after an epic recovery run, but then unfortunately dropped to P7 after both EVR cars got past. Over on lap 7 we had the safety car come out due to the Xbox Pro Gamers driver James unfortunately finding some hassles with the walls somehow. Further on we also had lap 21 where Kevin's was leading and fighting for the lead. Well, leading and fighting for the lead. He was up in the top positions, but he locked up and spun into turn 3, the Lakeside Stadium. And unfortunately he dropped to P8, but he managed to climb all the way back up to P4, but ultimately got demoted thanks to a 3-second penalty right at the end. And then, as if all this wasn't enough, you had the final lap, lap 29, where the race leaders, Knight and Joe, who was racing for the PEC esports team, collided. And unfortunately Knight came off worse, coming out at P5, while Joe somehow managed to retain the race lead to take his first win of the season. Not the first time he's crossed the line first. He did that in Bahrain, but got demoted after post-race penalties got sorted out. But while all of this was happening, we had Gabza for the QSL eSport team sneak in and take his first podium of the season for the team, as well as the Granddada for the F1 AF driver team. As a result, Evolution Racing take P1 with 46 points after both drivers managed to finish in the top 10 with a good haul of points. QSL, after an up and down race for kart and a good race for Gabza, managed to stick it up into P2, while PEC managed to hang on in there with Red Flame Joe carrying it all the way. Alien Motorsport, unfortunately, again, things just happened, well, not again, sorry, for the first time, right at the end, got pipped to the race win, potentially, and a podium position. So, unfortunately, they got demoted to P4, and then F1 AF managed to make their way into the top 5. Brilliant performance from them as well. So, this is our driver lineup for tonight. The DLX team going with Kalu Blue and Ima Molina, while the FRC team are also having a complete mix-up, one of many mix-ups tonight, complete redo of the lineup with Shanks and Sabio. Over on the EVR side of things, Exotic replaces Kevin's while Ollie continues to race, but ERS and XPG decide to start with a clean slate in round 3 with Thug and Danny over in the Ferraris, Immortal and Neon over in the Aston Martins. Then Alien Motorsport being the one team to bring back 2 of the drivers that have already competed this season and their 2 top challengers for the podium positions with Knight and Lucas. Then for the F1 AF team, we have Bibaben and Jerem. Jerem, third race of the season as well. Same for Kieran Nag in the XR8 squad. We're alongside Dylan. Over on the PEC side of things, Kick is now deciding to take off Red Flame Joe and putting in Raul Ruiz and Lacey. QSL keep on Gabza for the third week running and give him Chowski as a teammate. Now, for those who have no clue what's going on and join us for the first time, this is what our calendar looks like. Yes, 12 consecutive weeks of non-stop racing, 12 rounds, 12 weeks, 12 races. Starting off with Bahrain Sakir 2 weeks ago. I can't believe it's already been 2 weeks ago. Can you believe it? Anyway, today is the Chinese Grand Prix, and next week we go to Silverstone over in England. If you want a little overview of the points, here it is. 22 points for the race win, 18 points for P2, 15 points for the last podium position. P4 has 12 points, and then it's 1 point per position down. You can get an extra point for pole position and the fastest lap. Pole position you can attain through qualifying, setting the fastest lap, and in the race, by setting the fastest lap also, you get a point. Hey. So, enough said, let's hit the track. So, here we go, over in China, and we do have our first lot of laps in. And yeah, at the moment, we are 12 minutes remaining in the session. Before I just do stuff, I need to get the lap data up as well as the track map, which will give us all the info we need for the session. Now, in terms of format, it's a short qualifying format with about 17 minutes of qualifying or so, followed by half race length. So it's quick, it's fast, and the action doesn't stop coming, and we found that out all the way through. So, of course, Kevin's is not there tonight to exert his usual qualifying dominance. However, his teammate Ollie is, who's just come into pit. And yes, we have just missed the first round of laps, except for Kieran and Exotic Plains. Exotic Plains essentially taking the place of the Kevin's. Of the Kevin's. Oh, ooh. Yes, it is the Kevin's indeed. Apologies, yeah. Sometimes my brain just runs out ahead of me, and I end up thinking of one thing and then end up saying another. It's a bit funny, but yeah, Exotic Plains will have to live up to the legend of Kevin's so far, his perfect qualifying record. So far, EVR have scored the pole position every single time this season. Will it be third in a row? Will it be a hat-trick of podiums? Let's wait and see. And for any other driver, it will be their shot at taking the pole position dominance, so to speak, away from EVR. Again, you know, anything can happen. Kevin's isn't there tonight. However, both dominant Alien Motorsport cars are there, Lucas and Knight. Josh, for the Xbox Pro gamers in the Aston Martin, is in provisional pole position at the moment. So that could be another challenge. We had James challenge for the pole position last week, and he ended up in P2. So that worked out quite well for them. Over on the QSL side of things, Chowski is also another potential challenger. Kart managed P3 in qualifying last week. Again, it's not. I mean, it's not necessarily about filling his shoes, so to speak. It's just about performing as best you can. And sometimes it's your track, sometimes it's not your track. You really have to. It takes judgment with this kind of thing. Exotic Plains, though, coming round the final sector, through the final corner now, into turn 16. What will his starting lap time for qualifying be? We can see Josh just in the foreground will go on board for a lap. Exotic Plains, though, with a 1:30.1. Josh will certainly be looking to compensate for that, looking to get back at that provisional pole position. So, on-board lap, here we go. First realistic opportunity for an overtake is turn 6, where Josh has just come through. Now into turn 7, fast left-hander. Turn 8 is the upcoming right-hander, and these are fast-flowing corners. And drivers particularly love these, thanks to all the G-force that you can feel on these things, thanks to the high level of downforce that these cars have. Now through turns 9 and 10, into the third sector. Let's see what Josh's time is. He's gained 2/10, so that is going to be a tight fight for pole position. Now through turns 12 and 13. Again, it kind of replicates the first 2 corners in its unique nature. Not as challenging, not as aggressive, but it's similar. And now on to the 1.2 kilometre long back straight, one of the most popular overtaking opportunities on the circuit. 100 metres from the apex into the hairpin, and now through the final 2 corners. Turn 16, and how will his time compare to that of Exotic? Is it going to be pole position for Josh? Yes, it is. By about exactly, I was about to say about, by exactly 300ths. Good performance there. Other drivers out at the moment are Dylan, Ollie, Gabza, Kieran, Jerem, Kalublu, Shanks and Sabio. Lucas on his outlap at the moment. We'll be keeping a close eye on him because he won the first race of the season over in Bahrain. Ollie now comes across the line with a 1:30.4. Again, both EVR cars are so quick, both on a single lap and over the course of a race in terms of their consistency. I think, I'm not sure. For those of you who are watching at the moment, let me know who you guys think will take pole position here. Because I'm at a loss. If Exotic Planes is replacing essentially Kevin's for the first time this season, he's got to have good pace. And he showed us he does have good pace. But so does Josh. Josh also in the Aston Martin. James, last week, he showed some good pace over the course of a single lap. So did Josh. And then, of course, there's Ollie for the other EVR car. And Dylan, out of the blue, the other RB car suddenly takes P3. Substitutes Ollie in the final podium position. AMS Lucas now sets a faster sector, 700ths improved. And yes, I know, that's only a little bit, but, you know, it is only 900ths between Lucas and Ollie for P4. So every little bit counts. Every single little bit counts. And it probably is not the best time to go on board because we're about to see one of the most boring straights in all of Formula 1. Oh, and there's a Mercedes going off. Is that Shanks? I believe that's either, that is either Shanks or Sabio. The other Mercedes is down at turn 10. But unfortunately we can't tell really, purely based on the track map. It is down to seeing the actual car itself. So yeah, Exotic Planes on his way out. Lucas will be the next car to cross the finish line to set his lap time. Where will Lucas come out? His sector 2 looks very good, and it is a good lap for him. Taking provisional pole with a 1:30.048. His teammate Knight now comes across to start his lap as well. I bet he's going to be quite competitive too. Knight, of course, last week was challenging for the race lead all the way through up until the final lap, at which point he and Joe unfortunately came together. Knight improving on sector 1. He'll need a good sector 2 to improve as well. We do have some other cars about to cross the line first. Exotic Planes is a little further back. We'll keep an eye on him. Bibbin. I'm just going to call him Bibbin. I can't bother with a triple B. Bibbin. I don't know, it's a little tricky. He peels into the pits. Some of the other cars, Melina, will come across the line as well. So will... No, that's not Cali Blue, is it? No, it isn't. The Ferraris also, unfortunately, they haven't been performing as well as they could They've been struggling this season. And yeah, it was just rough. Despite the fastest lap from Pei last week, yeah, these two are struggling. It's P14 and P17 for Danny and Thug. So maybe the lineup not quite working out in their favour through the opening stages qualifying. I say opening stages, we're almost at the end, 4 minutes remaining. Lucas is coming into the pits now because he obviously had his his outlap. Knight will be the first one to cross the line. Where is Knight? I think he's had a bad lap. Exotic now comes across the line to set the first sub 30 or 129.9. Again, these small increments, like I said, every 100th matters at this level. A little further down, it's a 10th or so, but up here, it's 100th. I mean, I say that, and Chowski and Gabza for the QSL team, they're both within 300ths. So my statement might not even stand. Thug is about to come across the line as well to set his lap, and unfortunately not able to improve. Danny is the other Ferrari out at the moment as well. So in terms of drivers setting laps right now, there aren't many, and the weather is very quickly changing. I just noticed that. It looks very dark all of a sudden. It seemed quite bright, quite shiny. Now it's all gone. Also, chat, please remind me to check the results for last week. You can tell my brain's a bit icky as it is. Check the results right at the end of quali and the end of race. I've put a note up, and it's literally right in front of my screen, so if I don't see it, I'm blind or I'm just too focused on the action. So hopefully I'll get it this time. But one driver who will be looking to get his lap time under wraps is Sabio for the FRC Mercedes-driven team. Warming up the tyres one last time, and this is potentially the final attempt at a flying lap. Unless he messes this one up and then comes into the pits and straight back out again. Yeah. Now, in case you were wondering, for those who might not be as familiar with this, drivers typically take a 3-lap strategy. So they'll fill their cars up just enough fuel to last 3 laps. 1 out lap, followed by 1 flying lap, which is the lap where they try and set their fastest time, do their qualifying lap, so to speak, and then their out lap, which is just the lap where they need to come back into the pits. And usually, that lap is a bit slower, so could be even more fuel efficient. But I mean, I've seen drivers try and go 4 laps, 1 out lap, 2 flying laps, and then 1 in lap, and that just means you kind of get your brain a little bit into it the first lap, and then you can go full send the next. I don't know, but these drivers have all chosen to go with a 3-lap strategy. It probably is the most efficient, to be honest. You're not putting as much tyre, you're not dealing with as much tyre wear. Sabio, 600th improvement in Sector 2, and while we were talking about strategies for qualifying, Kieran unfortunately retires in P7, so that's the highest position he will get. Many other drivers might be able to make their way past, one of which is going to be Bibbin and potentially the 2 Haas's of the QSL Esports team. Some good awareness from the TLX driver behind. Cool, and now drivers will be making their way across the line for their flying lap. It's going to be Josh, Dylan and Ollie, as well as Bibbin. We follow Sabio now, and unfortunately it's a 2/10 worse lap. He comes off 2/10 worse, which is really unfortunate. Josh, an 800th, almost said 10th. If he got an 8/10 improvement, well, that's an impressive improvement indeed. But at the top, you're not likely going to find that. But yeah, 800th improvement for Josh out of Sector 1 into Sector 3 now. It's a 10th. Could this be P2? Could this potentially be P3 at P1? He was already in P3. Could this potentially be pole position? It's the first flying lap for the Aston Martin, and the weather is rapidly declining. Exotic, unfortunately, can't improve on his time. He can't defend it. So now it's up to Lucas, Josh and Ollie to make that happen within the top 5 at the moment. There are, of course, the other drivers outside who maybe have not had such good laps. Here we go, though. Josh around the final corner now. Turn 16 out onto the curb, deploys the DRS, and that is unfortunately just off the pole position lap time. Not enough to take provisional pole. Lucas now, not much improvement in the final sector. Knight will be another driver to come across the line soon, but he'll come across behind Lucas. Ollie now comes across to take P4 away from Dylan, and Kieran drops as Bibbin sets a faster lap time. Gabza will also be a driver to keep an eye on. I believe he's coming across the line right now. Gabza up into P6 at 130.5. And unfortunately, Lucas has forfeited his lap. Unless the software is just being weird. But yeah, Lucas, unfortunately, not a valid lap time. Knight now across the line. What can he do for Alien Motorsports? He runs incredibly wide, and I believe in the process forfeits his lap. So for the top 10, that is it. It is Exotic, then Josh, then Lucas. Exotic once more, right at the front for EVR. Now, while we wait, a little fun fact about the circuit. It began construction in April 2003 in the marshland of the Jiading province in Shanghai, and as mentioned, was designed by Herman Tilke himself, who is, of course, the designer of the Circuit of the Americas, as well as several other famous circuits, and it took around 18 months and $450 million to complete. And now here today for round 3 of the Season 8 EML F1 Championship, it is of course Exotic Plains in the McLaren, who starts off with a banger, taking pole position. Neon Lowpole unfortunately not able to set a lap time. Thugby in the Ferrari in the penultimate position, 3 seconds off the pace. But up at the top, it is Exotic Plains who remains at the top, takes pole position for the EVR team, continuing that legacy. But now we'll be back in just a few moments for the race start. Hello and welcome back to Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix Round 3 of the Season 8 EML F1 Championship. And we are about to head into our half race length race. Funny way to say it. And guess who's up at the top? An AVR car. Not Kevin's this week, but Exotic Planes, who we'll just call Planes for now, just so we don't have to go through the long words when things get hot. And Ollie is not far off. However, it is a good mix of drivers up in the top 5, including a QSL driver and many more. Unfortunately, this time there is no PEC driver to rival it. But here we go, the lights come on. And it's go time. 18 cars go roaring down to turn 1 to start 28 laps of racing, and it's Paynes who's had a good start. Josh folds in behind. Josh is holding off the McLaren, but on the inside is Gabza, who makes use of the opportunity straight up into P3, but they're 3 wide as they come out of turn 3, now into turn 4, and it's the Alpine on the inside, the Haas on the outside. Now that will turn into the inside line for turn 6, a good overtaking opportunity. There is Gabza on the inside of Lucas. Can he hold on to that position? Yes, he can. There's the Alpine of Dylan also getting involved now around the outside. Is this another potential position lost for the Alien Motorsports driver? Not yet. He hangs on in there, but he's got another RB car behind that's waiting to get past and looking to sandwich this Alpine. But everyone, by the looks of things, has managed to get through it safely, except for Sabio down in P18, the FRC driver, 7 seconds behind Thugby, who himself is 2 seconds behind the DLX of Kalu Blue. And here we go, there we go, Dylan now past Knight, and everyone starts down the main straight. How will this pan out? There will be many opportunities, one of which will be Josh, who's looking a bit racy behind that McLaren. Some moves in the background. That was Shanks going on Bibbin, and there it is, move done. Also a similar maneuver for Danny and Lacey, but they seem to be holding on to that bit of action. Gabza pulls to the outside, and he's already passed. He's not even got DRS yet. Wow, great exit for Gabza, straight up into the final podium position. He's looking for some progress early on in the race. We can already see a gap forming between Josh and Gabza, P2 and P3, but again, that might have been Ollie holding them up slightly. Potentially, not sure. Down in P5, Lucas has got Dylan looking very racy behind him. The Alpine getting a little sideways on the exit of turn 7, and going through the S's, there isn't much opportunity. Kieran, though, will be looking for an opportunity into turn 11. That's going to be a sharp left-hander. Not necessarily the best overtaking opportunity, but one of the opportunities that you can find around the circuit. And he is one of the closer drivers, but unfortunately nothing comes of it yet. Out into the straight will be the biggest opportunity yet. Josh, half a second behind Planes, and this could go any which way. Knight is 0.1 seconds off of Dylan, looking to follow up his teammates' moves, but he's also got an RB behind. How will this turn out? To the outside, the RB defends. Knight trying to go the long way around, and he's still there, he's still there, and the other RB is also getting involved, but while he was doing that, yeah, it stayed the same. It was close, it was tense, but nothing came of it. We do have some drivers deciding track limits on the final corner, doesn't really matter. Knight, though, he's going to make sure that every movement he makes matters, and he stays on the inside. Knight maybe taking a wider line, potentially a slower line, but I don't know. We'll have to see how it all pans out. Kieran is right up behind Knight right now. It was the other way around just a few moments ago. Now it's an RB looking for a position on an Alien Motorsport car once again. Out onto the S's of turn 7 and 8. He's still really close behind, and that is a Ferrari, a slow-moving Ferrari. Thugby down in P17 having some hassles in the second sector. as it stands, everyone is fairly neat and tidy. Gabza made some good progress in the first couple laps of the race. The opening stages of the race hasn't seen much difference between the order of Exotic Blades and Josh. They've just kind of let each other exist at this point in time. They're just coexisting. But down into the DRS zone, it might be a different story. Gabza is gaining massively, and Exotic Plains takes the inside line. He thinks it is the time to defend from the Aston Martin, who then takes the inside line for the cutback. Can't quite get alongside to affect his line into turn 16, but now they'll have DRS into turn 1. This is another potential overtaking opportunity. It's just not as great because that turn 1 is so challenging for these drivers. It is a constantly changing radius. It just gets tighter and tighter, and Josh actually has to start defending from Gabza behind, who himself has now got Ollie down the inside, round the outside. It just keeps changing inside, outside, inside, outside. Now the outside for turn 4, which will turn the inside for turn 5, and then turn 6. Is this going to be Ollie up into the final podium position? It looks like it, and there it is. He's got the move, but so does Lucas. He's also alongside through the S's. How will this go? This is going to be very interesting indeed. Can they keep it clean? Yes, I'm actually in admiration of how they're managing the space between them. This is incredible, side-by-side racing all the way, and just managing to squeeze through turn number 10. It is still Lucas ahead. Sorry, Lucas behind Gabza. Gabza managed to keep Lucas behind. Wow, that was incredible. Some good, close racing through the S's. First for this race, lap 4 already, out onto the main straight. Josh is only 0.3 seconds. Let's see this DRS do its work. Is this the first overtake for the lead? Exotic thinks so, decides to go a little defensive and comes back across. Very interesting. Not quite as Josh planned. Could have gone for a dummy, but again, he would have had to brake very late, and that could have influenced his corner. Definitely would have influenced his corner. What happened there? Ollie and Gabza. Is that it? No, I just saw position swap, but as of now, nothing's really changed. Exotic Plains with a 0.4 second lead over the rest, and again that gap just closes so quickly on the DRS. It's 0.2 seconds between Lucas and Gabza for P4. We'll keep an eye on that as they come through the S's. They were side by side through here last lap. Could this be an overtake into turn 11? I don't know. At this point, we're calling out potential opportunities. Chelsky gets first penalty of the race down on P12. Lacey now makes position up into P13. The only PEC driver to make it to the grid tonight, similar to Red Flame Joe, but unfortunately the success is not quite reciprocated tonight. Or I shouldn't say reciprocated, repeated. Bibin in P11 has got a very small gap to the car ahead, and he has managed to overtake his teammate Jerem. Managed for P10, so he's just managed to break into the top 10 now. Up on the top though, I'm scared to leave the top, because last time, yeah, things can change so quickly up here. Like, things can rapidly turn sideways. And again, across the line, the timing thing, the timing tower makes it look very, very dodgy. It looks very weird. One thing that might seem out of place in the Gabza car is two Alpines looking to rub their way past. 0.2 seconds. They could be working together to try and get past the QSL car and start fighting for the podium positions. At the moment, though, it is the EVR team locking down the podium, making a sandwich of Josh. No French toasts or anything like that this time. Unfortunately, the two F1AF team cars are down in P10 and 11. But, you know, again, it's all about consistency and teamwork. Dylan and Kieran are doing that right now. P7 and P8 for them. P5 and P6 for the Alien Motorsport team. And, of course, P1 and P3 for EVR. So they are doing great. Lacey is making some good progress at the field. P13 again though. Oh, this is going to get spicy real quick. 0.2 seconds between Josh, Ollie and Exotic. And there we go. The first overtake for the race lead happens on lap 6. Josh takes the race lead in the Aston Martin, past Exotic Planes, and Planes allows Ollie pass as well. He's not really going to fight that since he had the DRS as well. So now Josh has managed to break outside of that McLaren sandwich. Can he build up a gap to the cars behind? Can he build up more than a second is the first objective. That's going to be the first thing on his mind. Build up that 1 second gap so that these guys behind can't get the DRS on that main straight. And if they do, make sure that gap is big. And so far, he's done all right. The fact that he's taking the race lead means he's done all right. We could see many more changes for position up at the top of the podium. Changes for position could be Danny down on P16 and Lacey again P13 having a massive scrap with P14 place. Jerem now P13. It changes every single corner it seems, every single lap for granted for sure. Danny also 16th, only 0.1 seconds off of Kalu Blue in the DLX car, and I'm surprised that the absence of penalties so far, but there is plenty of time to get them. Don't worry, we'll have plenty more penalties to spice things up post-race. It's always a bit funny how they come across the line and then it's still the same. It changes the order and you're like, who's just won? Not sure until we get to the end. Exotic Planes with a good run. Is it going to be an overtaking to turn 13? It was a lovely camera view from here, from the back end of Josh, seeing Exotic Planes and Ollie once again swapping positions. And apparently I have been saying Ollie's name wrong for 2 weeks straight. I've been calling him Zodiac because of those X's in front of his name. Apparently it's Ollie. So yeah, apologies for that. It's kind of a commentator's thing. In the background though, another commentator's thing going on is an overtake, and it is going to be Lucas trying to go the long way around in turns 1 and 2, but unfortunately he can't quite keep the momentum going, can't quite stay alongside the Haas of Gabza, and he has to settle still for P5, and his teammate behind, AMS Knight in P6, will be looking to get past as well. Could they be working together? Could they be giving each other slipstream priorities? I don't know. Could their managers be manipulating them team orders? Could this be the first bit of team orders we see this season? Well, definitely not, because we've seen some stuff happen between drivers on the same team this season so far, one of them being Exotic Planes and Ollie, who are now P2 and P3. Shanks, I've just noticed, has managed to make his way into the top 10 for the FRC guys. Good performance so far. Nice to see a Mercedes in the top 10. Unfortunately, he is half a second off the next driver, so a slightly larger gap than most. A smaller gap than most, though, is going to be Exotic Planes and Ollie, both assaulting that Aston Martin, and one's gotten by. Is it going to be two by the time they get to turn 14? They're still side by side on the exit. Ollie and Josh maybe tangling slightly on the exit, and that is Exotic Planes back up into the race lead, so they resume their previous order. Wow, both looking to sandwich that Aston Martin, both looking to get ahead though by the time they get to turn 1, and it's Ollie around the outside. Brilliant move. Can he hold on to it though? Yes he can. Can he get past his teammate as well in this whole scrap? We've also got the Alpine behind Lucas getting involved. It's a 5-way scrap here for the podium positions. It's tight. It is very tight. Down the inside, we've got Lucas now turning to the outside for turn 6. Both McLarens also involved. Oh, this is close. I can't tell you. Oh. So we've got a McLaren and an Aston Martin side by side. A Haas and an Alpine side by side. Oh, just enough space given, and looks like the Alpine got past, but not again. It's back round to Gabza's side of things. And in all that, it came out pretty much as easily as it would have if Ollie just made his way simply past Josh. In the background though, Knight is defending from Dylan, who's got the inside line into turn 11, and he takes P6. Wow, a good couple minutes of action there. good couple corners of action there, including turn 7 and turn 8, but it's not over yet. Gabza looking for the final podium position once more, and he is past. He's got the DRS as well. Is this going to be 2 positions? Ollie thinks so, taking a slightly narrower line. And Gabza now makes his way up into the final podium position. Wow, so in the space of a lap, we had a McLaren driver make his way up into P2. The QSL driver, Gabza, make his way up into P3. And Josh get demoted down to P4. Unfortunately, Lucas was not able to capitalise on the chaos. He is looking to capitalise on Josh's lack of pace all of a sudden. Or just bad luck, to be honest. You know, when you're out in front and you get assaulted by cars with DRS on one of the longest straights on the F1 calendar, there isn't much you can do. Josh, though, is thinking he can do an overtake into turn 6, but so does Gabza, really close up to the back end of the EVR car. And now there are 2 cars. The EVR car is currently running 1-2. If they keep this order, again, absolutely brilliant haul of points for them in the championship standings, which they're currently leading. It is up to Gabza to try and get his fair share of it, and hopefully Chowski down in P13 can do something later on in the race. It is still very early. We're only lap 10 of 28, although I say that, pit stops will probably start in about 4 minutes. 4 minutes? No, sorry, 4 laps. So the endurance racing mindset kicking in. Lucas only 0.2 seconds off of Josh for P4. Up ahead though, Ollie and Exotic switch places once again. Here we go down the inside. Lucas looking for P4, almost a P3 there, but he has given some good space from Gabza. He has given space, and he has been given space by Gabza. But on the exit, unfortunately, it just wasn't enough, and he's still back down on P5. Down into turn 1, though, is he going to be looking for an opportunity? He didn't have any DRS, oddly enough, unless I just didn't see properly. It is a possibility. But as it stands, yes, 2 EVR cars. P1, P2, 2 RBs in P6 and P7. Knight got filtered out by them. Knight is now down to P8. Not a good day for the other Alpine. It seems to be the usual thing for teams other than EVR having 2 cars, one high up and one low down. It's not as if Knight is really low down though. He's still P8. He can still do something with it. Danny now gets a 3-second time penalty. Thugby has retired from the race. That could be the yellow flag we saw earlier. And everything now settles into a rhythm, or it's supposed to. Sometimes it can actually just pick up again. It's weird how it does that. It's called racing. It's called racing. And one thing those guys up front will be doing is racing. Ollie and Plains once again swap positions. Lucas looking once again for a move, but he's not close enough to move to the inside. It is Josh, though, going wide, and he's got that inside line, pushing him out to the outside. There's no curb to run onto. Side by side through turn 16. No, Josh decides to back out, but he's really close. 0.1 seconds. They're side by side now, and unfortunately, Josh has got some DRS and a good exit to compensate for the loss of that position. Lucas looking to the inside in turn 2. He's alongside. Ooh, good awareness from Josh. Very, very good awareness from Josh. That could have gone south really quickly. Great racing. Josh, kudos to you, mate. But in all that, Lucas has a 3-second time penalty. Yes, that was probably for the time that he ran over on the final corner. And as a result, he's got 3 seconds counting against him by the end of the race. Lacey up to P10, doing some good work down there. Now she's got, well, I'm not sure if it's a he or she. Well, yeah, when you're a commentator, there is only a singular gender, and it might not even be the thing that you say, because I say the wrong cars sometimes. So no danger of misgendering anyone there. But P10 for Lacey, 2.5 seconds to make up. Is it possible in that Sauber? I think it is. That Sauber's been very quick this season in the hands of Red Flame Joe. Another car that's been really quick is, of course, Gabza in the Haas. Is it going to be 2 overtakes into turn 13? Yes, it is. Gabza goes from P3 all the way up to P1. If we can get the exit under wraps through turn 16, it is a new race leader. Gabza taking the race lead from P3. Now he's under threat from the 2 McLarens, though. Ollie making his way around the outside, trying to defend best he can. He can't do anything into the right-hander. So at the end of the day, net result, it is only a P2, although he does have a McLaren down the inside as well. There's an Alpine also getting involved. Lucas also looking for a position, and we once again have a 5-way scrap, and it is Lucas alongside the Aston Martin for P4 yet again. There's a move from the McLaren down the inside. Can he keep him there? Can he give him some space? Yes, there is good space there. Great racing here. Lucas and Josh still side by side. Lucas looking for his opportunity to break into the top 3 potentially. Josh desperate to hold on to that top 5 position, and both of them go wide. Oh my goodness, and there's Dylan going off in the background as well. But at the end of the day, it is still Josh staying ahead, and Dylan, with a bout of oversteer, drops down to P9. Woo! Feels like a race that kind of pulses. It goes quiet, then it gets rowdy again, then it slows down, then it gets rowdy again. And is that another Ferrari going slowly? Is that Danny down in P16? There was a yellow flag there. I was scared it was. Oh my goodness! Exotic loses it on turn 14. No! Exotic is rapidly dropping down the grid and is down to P13. I cannot believe it. It is the same mistake that has happened to Kevin's every single race so far. Exotic spinning out of one of the podium positions, and now Ollie has to deal with Gabza all on his own. Lucas managed to get by Josh as well. So much happened in the last couple seconds. So while we were following the EVR of Exotic Planes, Lucas managed to make his way by Josh, I'm assuming down at turn 1. Josh is being slowly filtered down the grid, closer and closer to his teammate down at P15, Neon. And Danny now retires as well after a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Wow, lap 14 has it all, ladies and gents. The halfway mark has got more than half the action. It's got about, it's got 100% action all the way. Wow. So to process that, and again, slow Ferrari coming out the pit lane, but I'm assuming that's unrelated. I don't know what's happening there. Gabza, 0.1 seconds. Oh my goodness, we almost didn't catch this. Gabza and Ollie switch places once more. Gabza in the Haas, and the QSL driver makes his way into the race lead. If those two fight too much, they could fall back into that 1 second window to Lucas, who's now 1.3 seconds out. So if these two can keep it clean, they could potentially find a gap to the drivers behind. They could get that gap to give them more time, more space. So I would say just keep racing and cleanly. Like, don't go side by side, don't do any of that. Just play it smart, go as quickly as you can, don't get in each other's way, and get that gap going. Because right now they do have that gap. While you've got it, it's easier to build it once you've got it. It's the same between Knight and Josh. Now all the pit stops are happening, so I almost called it as Lucas. Oh no, he's dropping down the grid. Yeah. Well, no, he's just taking his pit stop, and so are a load of the other drivers. And I'm sure you have the same thing. I still have the same thing nowadays myself. Even in endurance races where you can see the pit stops coming from miles away. And you still end up going, oh my goodness, he's lost. Oh, no, sorry, he's just having a pit stop. So now the question is, who will pit first between Gabza and Ollie? Gabza fighting for the race lead. Second podium of the season in his hands right now. And first race win of the season in his hands as well. Ollie looking for his first race win of the season and podium of the season as well. Can you believe neither EVR car has made it onto the podium this season yet? despite their absolutely incredible pace, neither of them have managed to finish on the podium. And again, I cannot tell you how stereotypical that was from Exotic Planes to lose traction on turn 14. That is exactly what Kevin's did in the previous 2 races. And as we now lament over the state of EVR's #1 driver, so to speak, or potentially #2 driver, depending on which one you prefer when it comes to pace or consistency, Ollie now takes the race lead away from Gabza. Is this Gabza's time to pit first? Will it be Ollie who pits first? All I know is that Neon Lolpole in the other Aston Martin is pushing for a best lap. Could he be going for a late pit stop, an overcut, as opposed to the rest of the grid? I mean, we didn't really see great pace during qualifying though, so I don't anticipate that being a good strategy. Usually you only go for an overcut if you know you have a pace advantage. If you've got a pace advantage, you can do that. If you don't have one, an undercut is likely going to be the next thing. It also depends on where you come out. If you come out in traffic while your rival just keeps racing and pits and comes out in clean air, obviously, you know, that's a big loss. If he pits first and you're not expecting it, and you're not pushing, he could catch you off, you could catch you unawares. So it really is about who does it first. Gabza retakes the race lead once again. We've got about two overtakes for the race lead, 2 changes for position for the race lead every single lap pretty much. They've built up a 6-second lead over Lacey now in the PEC car, and both of them peel into the pits. And it is a wide run for Ollie. Could he have lost some time there? Yes, I think he has. Okay, so the 2 race leaders pit. Lacey also comes into pit. This will allow some of the other cars to come past. There's Ollie now into his pit box. How will his pit stop compare to that of Gabza? Again, it's going to be very close. Who comes out first? It is still Gabza who comes out first. Lucas, though, takes the race lead, and the rest of the drivers who haven't made their pit stops yet also come past. Gabza manages to make his way out ahead of the Mercedes of Shanks. He's behind Kieran, Neon, Lolpole, and Josh. Now, this would not be a very good time to get a graphic up on who's getting which positions, because the pit stops are in full swing right now. Everything is a bit chaotic as it stands. All I know is Gabza and Ollie came out into traffic, and now there is almost a second gap between Gabza and Ollie, the 2 previous race leaders. Once Shanks pits, you know, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be weird. It's going to be nuts. Josh, though, has his old rival Lucas just ahead, and this time he's starting from behind. Ollie makes his way past Shanks now, but he is outside of a second on Gabza. Gabza is 0.2 seconds on the RB ahead, and there it is, a change for position, same for Josh. And yeah, there it is, 2 Aston Martins in the podium positions, an Alien Motorsport car also thrown in there. It is now a green sandwich as opposed to an orange one for the last couple laps, and unfortunately Exotic Planes has not managed to really make any progress from his from his spin out. I was about to say bad run. He's had a good run, unfortunately he's just not made it stick. Kulchowski and Bibin swap positions for P10. So in terms of team points hauled tonight, at the moment, as it stands, pit stops ignored. It is going to be the Xbox Pro gamers who make the most points. The RBs are doing very well in P5 and P8, and then the Alpines in P2 and P9. Sorry, my eyes just glazed over for a second there. Not because of the action though. Like, the action's just been non-stop. The adrenaline now that the pit stops have started and that chaos is now in full swing, and I don't have to worry about positions changing as much at the moment. When it comes to drivers who have pitted and who haven't pitted, you know, that adrenaline rush is somewhat depleted now, but I'm sure it will come surging back once we get the action going again between the drivers. Neon, Leopold just within a second now. Knight and Shanks change position. Shanks doing a great job for FRC, unlike Sabio, unfortunately, he was down in P16. At least he hasn't retired yet. At least he hasn't retired, though. That's one thing I always say. Yes, you may be last, but keep going, mate. Just keep going. If you finish the race, you're a great sportsman. You're a great sportsman. Another sportsman who shows that he wants to play sports is Lucas, who makes his way out of the green sandwich of Aston Martins. Lucas getting past Josh for the race lead into turn 1. Dylan is also 0.3 seconds off Knight for P8, looking to potentially get past him as well. Now, unless big things have happened during the pit stops, I think there might be some interesting stuff going on here. Yes, there is. Oh my goodness. So Gabza and Ollie with a bad stop came out P4 and P6, and that's it. You know, everyone's done their pit stops. So yeah, at the moment, this is it. These are the positions. Quick little look at the standings. Lucas up 2 positions. Josh pretty much where he started. Neon up 13 positions. He was 14 positions, but on the exit, Gabza made his way past into the final podium position, and he will have some DRS to use. No, he won't actually. It's Neon who will have some DRS down into turn 13, into the hairpin. Yeah, so Neon up 13 positions. Can you believe it? What a drive for the Aston Martin. Next best improver is Lacey in P10 in the PEC. Again, a very familiar performer in terms of colour, in terms of the team. Not quite the driver. We haven't really seen Lacey in action yet. Down in P12, but looks like there has been a scrap down at the pit straight. As we say that, Lacey drops to P12. Biggest loser is, of course, Exotic Planes, who spun out right at the front of the grid and is now down in P13, still unable to make any positions, and everyone's on a medium tyre compound, so there isn't really much difference between these drivers now as they head into the final 9 laps of the race. Can you believe it? We're almost there. Chowski leaves the session in P11. What's happened there, mate? Neon just in front of Ollie takes a track limit warning. Too much momentum on the exit of turn 8. And now things will start heating up once again. Lucas in the race lead for the Alien Motorsport team, looking to take their 2nd race win of the season. Yet another podium. Josh looking for the 2nd podium for his team down the inside, and he does take the race lead by the time they hit the braking zone. Good movement from Josh, still fighting for that race lead right from the start. We do also have Neon not far behind, half a second off of Gabza for the final podium position. At the moment, anything to shake up the podium positions and potentially a race lead result. Lucas with a 3-second time penalty. Track limits as usual. Dylan and Knight, a familiar battle between an Alpine and an RB take place down in P7. Dylan making his way up into it. 2.5 seconds off of Kieran. He has a lot of... He's got a lot to make up. He has a lot to make up. It is a scary gap. It is a very scary gap. That's definitely more than a second. That's more than the second required for the DRS. Another gap that is actually also opening up is Josh and Lucas. 0.7 seconds between them. This could be Josh's opportunity to break away from Lucas and just keep a hold of that race lead. Is there damage to Lucas's car? Let's see if we can have a look. I'm not seeing anything right now. Oh my goodness. Yes. And that gap has opened up to almost a second. The DRS will close that gap. Another gap to keep an eye on is Ollie and Neon. Is this the Aston Martin losing out to the EVR car and potentially losing his shot at a podium finish? It looks like it. Gabza now makes an overtake on Lucas as well, and there is a bit of contact between these two for P4 and P5. Neon maintains P4 at the moment, but for how long? down into turn 1. It will be a very interesting scenario because he's gone wide, his exit's compromised, and Ollie has the DRS. That really isn't much of an issue. And we did see Gabza get past Lucas. Then he got overtaken by Lucas. Now he's overtaking him again. It's a side-by-side action once again between these two drivers. They just can't stay away from each other. Some great side-by-side action. Now heading into turn 6, Lucas opts for the outside line. Now he has that position under wraps for now. Once again, Gabza is looking really, really racy. And if Lucas isn't careful, he's going to lose a load of positions thanks to that 3-second gap. So ideal situation for him. Get the race lead and then build up more than a 3-second gap somehow in the closing 7 laps of the race. Yeah. Very, very easy. No? No. It is not easy. If we finish the race in this order right now, with the same gaps, he could potentially drop all the way down to P7, right next to his teammate Knight. Could be an Alpine P7, P8. Don't know. And at the moment, it is quite a good spread of teams. It is a pretty good spread of teams. We've got 4 teams in the top 4. And yeah, there aren't really drivers that are right behind each other. Josh is in the race lead with Lucas P2, Gabza P3, all different teams. The Xbox Pro Gamer, then the Alien Motorsport driver, and then the QSL Esport driver. Heading into turn 1 though, could they change the order? No, not this time round. We are almost at the 5 laps to go announcement. And the drivers behind are obviously also trying to... Oh my goodness, and Dylan! Dylan DNFs. Dylan has retired from the session. Oh, mate, who's doing so well up in the top 10. Is that going to be a safety car? Is this car parked on the side of the road, or has he at least pulled into the pits? He's left the session. It still looks like a caution in Sector 3 on the start straight. Oh, dear. The RB of Dylan. It could have been a good result for the XR8 team this season, their best result so far. But no, he retires from the session and there is no safety car or anything to happen. One thing to happen though is of course this battle between Gabza and Lucas kicking off once more as they head out onto the 1.2 kilometer long stretch that is known as the back straight of the Shanghai International Circuit. And it is 0.2 seconds. There is the move from Lucas onto Josh. Is it going to be Gabza also looking for a move? No, there we go. Lucas, a good overtake. And Josh has lost traction there. What's happened to him? He's dropped 2 positions, 3 positions. Ollie now takes the final podium position. Gabza promoted up to P2. And it's now an Aston Martin in P4 and P5. It could change into turn 1, obviously. Gabza really close behind the Alpine. And Ollie also not too far away. So in the space of a single corner, Josh has gone from leading the race down to P4 for no apparent reason. It could have been a collision. Could it be that? He just slowed down so abruptly. It was really odd. Oh, look at how close Gabza is to the back end of Lucas as they head into turn 6. There were millimetres between them. Could maybe slip a piece of paper in there, maybe not a credit card, but you could slip a piece of paper in there and it would have fit. If you slip a piece of paper in there, it would fit. Not a credit card though. Or a piece of paper folded 7 times, is that it? You can't fold it more than 7 times. I think that was the fun fact I had about paper. I don't even have it written down. It's just something I know. One thing I do know though is it's going to be real spicy heading out onto the back straight. Once again, 1.2 kilometers to make a difference. The back straight to rule them all. 0.2 seconds between Gabza and Lucas. Same for Ollie and Gabza. Same for Josh and Ollie. And there is a massive movement. Josh going defensive. Gabza going defensive as well. Lucas now hanging it round the outside, looking for the inside line into the final corner. Josh trying to make his way past Ollie into the final podium position, hanging it round the outside into turn 16, not quite. He pulls back in for the DRS. 4 laps to go. Sorry, I missed the announcement. There's 4 laps to go, ladies and gents. I didn't even get the 5-lap announcement out of the way. And the order is still the same, but Gabs has gone wide, and the McLaren pounces. Now at the inside, will he manage to hold on to that position round the outside of turn 3? Into the next couple corners. They are right-handers only. Obviously, turn 6 is another great overtaking opportunity. They are side by side pretty much. Here we go. Still side by side. This could be side by side all the way until turn 10, and I've probably said that about 10 times right now. Josh also looking to get involved around the outside of turn 7 into turn 8. That will turn into the inside for the corner, and then into the outside for the corner thereafter. He makes his way past. Wow! Again, just non-stop action. It goes quiet, then it all explodes. So Lucas holds the race lead. Gabs are in P2. Josh retakes P3 from Ollie. And now Neon is also getting involved in P5. Kieran catches up to the back of this group. Knight could be the next person to join them. 2 seconds down the road in P7. We now have a 6-car DRS train, and everyone's looking a bit twitchy. Let's see who makes the first move. Who will be the driver to pull out into turn 13? It is Josh looking down the inside of the Haas. Can he keep it there? Yes, he can. Is there contact? I don't know. The angle wasn't 100%. But again, unfortunately, the Haas just manages to get better traction out of a corner. If he can defend that inside line out of the corner, it's then quite easy to hold it into turn 16. Out into the main straight, though, that's a different question. That is a different question. Turn number 2, though, full of action. Ollie looking to retake the final podium position. Looking for his first podium of the season. Josh looking for his second podium for his team. And if he can get Neon on his side, could this be a double podium for the Xbox Pro gamers for round 3? I have no clue. Everything is up in the air at the moment. Starting to spice up, heading into the final 3 laps of the race. We will only see turns 7 and 8. We will only see turn 13. We will only see turns 1 and 6 2 more times after this, and they could be the location of some spicy scenes, some crime scenes, or just a straight up business exchange. We don't know. And it does look to be a spicy maneuver from Lucas ahead. Josh and Gabs are going head-to-head for P2. Is this another double overtake for Josh into turn 13? He's just giving Lucas enough space to exist, not keep him on track. Whoa, it's a tight squeeze through there. Ollie in P4, Gabza P3, and Gabza has... Oh my goodness, everything's happening now. 3 wide Ollie down the inside of Josh, who has lost 3 positions on the straight. Ollie up, Gabza up as well. Ollie made his way past Gabza, and it's Lucas now into the race lead 2. Everything is kicking off here with 2 laps to go. Again, no business exchange there. That was spicy. What's the next corner going to be like? Ollie down the inside of Gabza for P2. Is it going to be a business exchange? No, it's spicy. They are side by side, and no one came away any different from that. Both still in the same positions. Lucas still in the race lead. Again, if he can't build a 3-second gap by miracle in these final 2 laps, it could be him demoted all the way down to P6 to P7. He could lose the race here. So realistically, it is Gabza and Ollie potentially fighting for the lead. A look from the McLaren down into turn 11. Josh taking the inside line into the next corner. How will this compromise his exit, though? I'm wondering how this will affect his top speed. He will have the DRS to assist him, but he does have his teammate right behind. Will they manage to cooperate together? Will they work together? I don't know. All I know is no one wants to cooperate when it comes to the race lead. Everyone wants a shot at taking round 3 and having that on their name. And it is Josh once again down the inside of a car on the inside of turn 13. Again, unfortunately, not able to continue that momentum out into the main straight. And here we go, ladies and gents. I know I've been talking really loudly and with a high-pitched voice for about 3 laps straight now, but it is the final lap. 2 cars look for a gap. One starts working it down the inside, and it is Ollie down the inside of turn 2. Gabza will have to defend into the next couple left-handers. He's got 2 left-handers to defend it. There is some nudging going on there, a bit of rubbing, but now they need to watch out for the Xbox Pro Gamer going around the outside into turn 6. Ollie still looking for P2, potentially P1 at the end of the day. Josh, ooh, there it is, the move from Josh through turn 7. He's taking P2, almost guaranteed. Woo! Things are spicing up here, gents and ladies. Out into the big straight. It's going to be intense, though. It is definitely going to be either spicy or a crime scene. There is no business exchange here, unless the crime scene owner, I want to say owner, but it's not quite. The instigator says it's all business. It's not personal, it's just business. Ollie down the inside of Josh, and everyone will have DRS now. 5 cars scrapping for the race lead. Ollie down the inside of Josh. Gabza looking for a gap. Lucas trying to hold them all up. And it is a business exchange almost completed for Gabza. Now around the outside is the Haas, and he has made his way up into the race lead. Lucas, P2, and Ollie, P3, and through the final corner we go. And across the line, it is going to be incredibly close for P3. Gabza wins the Chinese Grand Prix. Ollie in P2, and Josh, P3. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, despite his best efforts, Lucas takes P7 behind his teammates. Still a solid result for the team, but again, disappointing knowing that their pace is up there in the podium positions. And we suddenly have 2 Xbox Pro Gamer cars up in P3 and P4. Great haul of points for them today. I'm sure they'll be very satisfied with that result, and so will Ollie. First podium of the season for him. Gabza, second podium of the season, first race win. And for Josh, it is a second podium for the team as well. And unfortunately, once again, the other EVR car cannot manage to keep the car straight and finds itself down in P9, having dropped to P12. So it is an improvement. You know, those extra points do make a difference. And in a race, in the championship, where the points are all separated by 1 point each for those positions, those points really do matter at the end of the day. A good result for Gabza. He's been looking for this all season long, taking the top step of the podium alongside Ollie and the Xbox Pro Gamer of the other Xbox Pro Gamer driver. Incredible. Absolutely incredible drive. That then concludes round 3 of the Season 8 Championship, and what a race it has been. Action all the way through. Unfortunately, Thugby, Dylan, Danny, Sabio, not a great race for them, but it is a race to remember for Gabza, who once again takes another podium position. Josh wrapping up the final podium position with his teammate just behind, and Ollie taking the first podium for EVR. Then Kieran in the top 5 for XR8. Not a bad result for him as well. But that is it for tonight, guys. Join us next week, 7 PM GMT, for round 4 at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. Good night.